Did you ever have one of those road trips where you hit the road and the road hits back? Yeah, that happened to the Rangers this road trip. They finish at 1-5 on this 6-game trip. They've been swept by the Seattle Mariners. There's lots to talk about regarding the game and the trip, and we'll do it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Yeah, you know, it's true. Sometimes the sweeper gets swept, and that happened to your Texas Rangers this weekend as they were in Seattle, a place that's always been difficult for them to win, a place that's always been difficult for them to score. And this, my friends, this was wishful thinking. Hello, win column. Yeah, I just thought maybe today they'd come through. They didn't offensively once again. Hi there. Welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here. Jeff Wilson's there. We got Elijah Smith, the prophet, over there, as we bring you all the news of this weekend, none of which was really that good, Jeff.
There was no good news.
No.
Yeah.
None.
Right.
Really.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
right.
Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, no. We got a lot to say. We can talk about bad news, too.
Yeah, and we will. And, you kind of look at this road trip. It's like, all right, the first game wasn't competitive. Second game could have won it. Third game did win it. And then probably could have won 2 out of the 3 in Seattle. But something about the Rangers in the at Seattle right now, they just can't win there.
No, and they certainly can't, and they can't hit either. And, as we get to some quick initial takes from it, mine is from the last 2 games in particular, Jeff, is that timely hitting thing. The Rangers offense has done a great job of working these starting pitchers. 27 pitches they saw in the first inning from Wu yesterday, 26 pitches in the first inning today. You've got to score more than 1 run when you get runners at first and third in each situation, and they didn't.
Yeah, they had the bases loaded and no outs yesterday, and the runs scored before they loaded the bases. And then, 5, 6, 7,
mm-hmm.
and it's just I guess this is what an offense goes through, but you could look at the flip side and say, all right, they created some opportunities.
Sure.
And they didn't get the timely hits when they were at home there against the Rays, and in that sweep they did get the timely hits. So that's baseball, man. You can say that, but clearly the offense isn't quite right yet, and the pitching, while not terrible for 2 of the 3 games here in Seattle, it just can't hold down the fort forever.
No, it really can't. We'll talk more specifically about the pitching, and really in particular, we'll go back to Jacob deGrom and to Kumar Rocker a little bit later on in the program. But for now, we talk about Nathan Eovaldi's outing, which, was okay. I mean, again, he only had 2 runs. Only 2 of those 3 were earned.
Right.
So, if you're only allowing 2 earned runs, you give up 3 runs. Again, that's an opportunity for your team to win the ball game.
Well, the 2 in the first inning were on a Cal Raleigh homer, and he's homered in 4 straight games against the Rangers.
Yeah, every one of this series.
It was a split finger that caught the bottom of the zone and probably a little too middle of the plate, and Raleigh just kind of lunged over at it and knocked it out down the right field line for 2 there. And then
that ball had an exit velocity, by the way, of 99. I mean, home runs don't go out at 99, but when they go right down the line, it's not very far.
Yeah. Well, and then then Eovaldi settled in and was really pitching better than Logan Gilbert was, and then they gave up the leadoff hit in the 6th, and then they had that funky play at first with Berger missing the tag, or Polanco avoiding the tag, however you want to look at it, and then Nathan hit a Rosarena with the bases loaded. So it just it just wheels came off.
They
now, the good
did.
news is Hobie Milner came in and was fantastic, but
Again,
the damage was done.
yeah, and by the way, Evaldi hit 2 batters in a row there. He hit Raleigh
Yeah.
and he hit Randy Arozarena, and I don't blame him for hitting Raleigh. Might as well hit him instead of him hitting another home run off you. But yeah, that was very uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
Of Nathan Evaldi.
Well, and you think Raleigh's a double play candidate, and they tried to get him with a backdoor slider, and it got his back foot, and then Rosarena was ahead in the count.
Yeah,
and that was the bad thing there.
Yeah.
So, I haven't heard his post game comments yet. I'm sure we'll hear him and read about him tomorrow. He had 2 starts on this road trip, and the Rangers didn't win either one of them.
Yeah, no, and that's also uncharacteristic of Nathan Evaldi. So, but again, when we showed you the numbers and you look at them, and there's nothing glaring, nothing stands out, and he wasn't, he had pretty good command throughout until that inning. Yeah.
Rory just won the Masters.
Did he?
He's crying on 18.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's a strange one because Rory, we were multitasking up there as we watched the Rangers, and Rory looked like he had choked it away when he bogeyed the 18th hole first time through, but then he comes through when they played 18 again. So,
all right, I'll turn off my phone now.
Yeah, good for him. Not good for the Rangers. I'll tell you, but you brought up Hobie Milner, and that was another quick take, an initial take that I had on this game and really this series. Hobie Milner comes in there, and again, it's such a unique look, from down here, and he's throwing 77. And that thing's sweeping across the plate, and it'll either come in on the right-hander or dive away from the left-hander. It is a tough pitch to hit. It's really fun to watch him, and he literally looked unhittable in the 2 games we saw him in Seattle.
Yeah, and good for him, and Bruce Bochy talked about it, I think, yesterday before the game, and he said, because Hobie Milner had an awful spring.
He did.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And Bruce Bochy made an interesting point. In Arizona, guys who rely on breaking stuff and off-speed stuff, they can't get the right action on it in Arizona because the way the air is so thin there and dry. So I guess there's a lot of merit to that. Maybe, I don't know. And all of a sudden, Hobie Milner comes in here and nobody can touch him.
They can't.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But good for him. He didn't have a great year last year, and he needed a rebound. And I think the Rangers were betting on a rebound. It's 2 weeks and 2 games into the season, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, and you can absolutely say that our wailing and gnashing of teeth about the bullpen has gone unfounded, right? I mean, they're really, obviously Chris Martin had a stumble this weekend, but there really hasn't been anything to complain about with this bullpen.
Right. Everybody's going to go back to the opener. Oh my God, Luke Jackson.
Whatever.
Cut him, whatever. Can't be a closer. And the Rangers could have signed a better closer than a more proven closer than Luke Jackson. But you just kind of look around at everybody and see the whole the big picture. These guys have been really, really good. And so again, trust the scouts every once in a while. They kind of know what they're looking for and know what's a fit and know what they can work with and how something might work better. And they apply it and they sell the pitchers on it. That's part of the sales process. It's like, hey, you didn't do this last year, but we think this would really help you and we can make you better. You give them the solutions they want, throw some money at them, and that kind of seals the deal. So it's good, very positive start there for the bullpen, and still the rotation not awful. I think if you're concerned about one guy, it's probably Kumar Rocker.
Yeah.
He was doing okay Saturday, and then it just fell apart on him.
It did,
and it was crazy. It was kind of like the Cincinnati thing. He wasn't throwing good strikes. He was getting into hitters counts. He had that one wild pitch that was allowed a guy to score from second. I mean, that was a crazy pitch and a bad bounce, but. I mean, the first baseman ended up picking up that ball.
Yeah.
That tells you how bad it was. But, again, it's not like the Rangers are 0-17.
No.
They're above 500.
Still above.
Still a good club. They're just They gotta get the offense going. That can't wait.
No doubt. That absolutely has to happen. With regard to what happened to Kamar Rocker yesterday, though, that was the thing. And Mike Bassick talks about this. When you're just missing by a little bit, it's okay. You know you're going to be able to fight through that. But he was missing by a lot of bit, including on the wild pitch, you know. And again, not always, but then all of a sudden, he just seemed to lose it. And then he would miss, big on those pitches.
Well, you talk about guys getting in a rhythm with good stuff. You can get into a rhythm with bad stuff, and then you can't make the adjustment. You don't know how to do it, and Rocker is still a young guy, and these hitters are the best he's ever faced, and they're not gonna swing at stuff off the plate. And when they have a guy down and they know he's reeling, they're gonna make him work even harder. They're not gonna swing at the first pitch, unless it's a terrible pitch right down the middle, So he has some things to work on, but Chris Young kind of warned everybody. His way of doing that was, he said, these guys may make our team, and it may not be pretty. They're young. They haven't experienced a lot of things, and the only way to experience them is to do it in the major leagues. He was talking mostly about Mark Church there, but Kamar Rocker and Jack Leiter too, and you're kind of seeing it with Church and Rocker. Leiter, who I think threw a bullpen yesterday or today without the Band-Aid.
Without the Band-Aid, yeah.
So it looks like he's trending the right way and should be coming off the injured list his first day eligible. But goodness gracious, it's the hardest thing about baseball is the patience factor, and you got to have it. You just got to have it. 17 games or 6, however many games the Rangers have played. That's just such a small percentage of the season, and these things you think are going to turn around, but they're also going to happen again. The Rangers are going to get swept again. They could get swept next weekend against the Dodgers at home.
Yeah,
but it's going to happen, but then they're going to win 6 in a row multiple times this year. It's just you got to be able to withstand the lousy stretches and know that it's all part of the game. It happens to every team. I mean, it's happened to the Dodgers here. They're the hottest team on the planet, and they go and lose a series to the Nationals.
Yeah,
it just happens that way in baseball. So as hard as it is as a fan to say, gosh, this needs to be better, change things now, fix it, it's just not the way baseball really works.
No.
And I get it. It's frustrating. I mean, I'm 18 years in, John, you're 30 something years in. You've seen it. You see it every year.
Yeah. And it's hard to be patient. Yeah. It is. But at this point in the season, that's all you really can be. And you have to let things happen and let things develop to see what this really is. I get the concern that, we said this last year so often. Jeff and I have talked about this off air, I think on as well. But, all last year, the offense is going to come around. The offense is going to come around. It almost never did, right? That's the aberration, right? An offense that's built like this one is going to come around. Jock Peterson has looked absolutely lost. He had a couple of strikeouts today. When he hit a ball into right field, Jeff and I were high-fiving, right? Because he made good, solid contact, the likes of which he hasn't made much of that. That's the other thing. His outs are all, grounded into second or to first base over to the right side.
Yeah, and a lot of them have come with runners on base. He into that double play. It was either last night or the night before. Just a killer situation to do it in. And they batted him leadoff today. It's like, hey, it's an old managerial trick.
Sure.
Put the guy who's struggling at the top of the lineup. Let him understand that we believe in him, that we know he's going to come around. Maybe have him take a different approach into those at bats, see some pitches, not feel like he has to drive the ball, or do damage in the middle of the lineup. And he did like we say, he hit that deep fly ball. He hit a line drive foul that was off the fence that looked pretty good. So I don't know, but again, he's down to, it was 0.77 to start the day, and he posted an 0-fer. So I can only imagine. I don't have the math in front of me, but it may start with an 0.5 at this point. Yeah. And of course, Ian Desmond's the one I always point to, 0.46. But
was he 0.46 is what he got down to?
So
And he made the All-Star team.
He made the All-Star team, hitting 320. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's frustrating. I get it.
Yep, it is. Patience is very difficult, but it's also a virtue. So stick with it. We'll try to keep you in check and keep you patient if we can. We get frustrated too. We've got more to talk about. Let's get back to Jacob deGrom's start on Friday. Let's talk a little bit more about this game and continue wrapping it up. A 3-1 loss by the Rangers today. They are swept in this series in Seattle, but the good news is they're coming home. We'll preview that as well coming on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Oh, man, I hope you got a chance to go to the American Rodeo this weekend. Lots of good fun had out there. I was a little sad that my buddy, Cade Saunier, did not win his $1 million. Cade and I, became buddies because we were, we did an interview together, and I really liked the guy. So I was sorry he didn't even make he was sixth, and the top 5 made the finals. So a little tough for Cade. Yeah. But I hope you had a chance to grab your boots and your hat and get on out there to the American Rodeo. Globe Life Field was just chock full of a ton of the greatest events of the weekend: bull riding, barrel racing, bronc riding, and, of course, like Cade does, bareback riding. There was roping, too. And it was all on display. Fans from as far as Brazil and Australia were here to visit the United States. There was something for everyone. There were country music stars. That's what they're going to bring you at the American Rodeo. And so for now, what you should do is you should keep an eye on the action at AmericanRodeo.com for more events in the future.
Those guys from Brazil and Australia, they were definitely not on the home field here in the United States. But Empire Today, like all sports teams, wants you to have home field advantage. And they make it like as easy as possible. You don't even have to leave your house to get these floors done from Empire Today. If you use the code DLLS, you get $350 off. You got to schedule an in-home appointment. That's the first step. They're going to come to your house. They're going to allow you to see what the floors you want look like with your furnitures, colors, and all that stuff. They want you to get it right, whether it's the hardwood, the tiles, the carpet. I don't know if they still do linoleum these days, but you can only ask if that's what you want. So call Empire Today, schedule a free in-home estimate, and then if you go to EmpireToday.com/DLLS, you'll get $350 off your new floors.
So speaking of home field advantage, the Rangers have that this week. And they're taking on 2 teams from L.A. Of course, one of those is a first-place team, and the other is a third-place team. And the one that's a first-place team is not the Dodgers. It's the Angels. We preview that series, those 2 series, coming up at the ballpark a little later on in the program. Jacob deGrom pitched on Friday, didn't pitch nearly as long as he wanted, nearly as long as we expect from Jacob deGrom, and didn't like, and he's so critical of himself,
right? But
didn't like much about what he did.
Yeah, it's fastball command for him. That's what he lives and dies on. And it's not just like being able to spot it in various quadrants. It's low on the outside corner. That's where he makes his living. It's what's made him so successful because the off-speed pitches feed off of that. Well, the fastballs, that's where he gave up the 2 home runs on. Well, the fastballs just weren't in the right spots. And, he's not throwing as hard by design as he did, so maybe he's not getting away with as much. But 97, 98, 96, if he's able to locate it, it's just it just will still be a very, very good pitch, but make his off-speed pitches that much better. And the thing that was better, I thought, was he commanded his off-speed pitches a little bit better than he did the previous time against the Rays. So he was able to survive. But it's the fastball. They're all up, and he knows what the issue is. He just can't iron it out yet. But of course he's going to, because this is Jacob deGrom, and he's the best pitcher out there. Yes, he's coming off his second Tommy John. Maybe it takes a little bit longer to get the feel, to get the mechanics back down. But if I have to bet on Jacob deGrom returning, getting better, or staying here, this is the best we're going to see. I'm gonna bet on him getting better.
Yeah, and there were some things in the game the other night. The low part of the zone was not available.
That guy was awful.
He was awful.
The plate umpires. I think his name was Derek Thomas.
He was awful. So
both sides.
Yeah, he
both
was.
Sides.
He was bad both ways. But and I know pitchers, they have to adjust to that because it's kind of like, oh, that's not a strike today. But Jacob deGrom was hitting that lower corner, the outside corner to a right-handed hitter, right in the corner, and it was a ball every time. And then he was just all along the bottom line, and was a ball every time. And that it didn't show. He doesn't talk about it. It's excuses, all that stuff. But that has to frustrate you a little bit when, I made my damn pitch, and by the way, it was in the strike zone.
Yeah, and there was an at bat with Josh Smith where he took 2 pitches in that the Mariners should have gotten a strikeout on.
Yeah,
it was the guy was bad throughout the game, and but yeah, I mean, I had the same thinking too. It's like if you're Jacob deGrom, well, any pitcher, and that's your game plan going in, and it's taken away.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you got to make an adjustment. But that was interesting that you saw that too, because it was just. It's like, golly,
I know. What do you do now? Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, because it's a game plan for a reason. If you pitch that hitter to a different spot within that strike zone, well, you're hitting into one of his or pitching into one of his hot zones potentially.
Yeah, and so, but the Mariners also made Jacob work. They fouled off some balls. He threw a ton of pitches. That's why only went 4 innings. And it was time for him to take it to the house. So. You expect that one to get better, and hope that it does. And I think his next start would be the finale Thursday night against the Angels, the fighting Ron Washington. So see if he has an opportunity there. But I'm gonna go ahead and give Jacob the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, again, it's like you said, it's Jacob deGrom. He's going to figure it out, and it's going to be fine. With Jacob deGrom, again, it may not be ever again that sort of vintage, 2017, 18 Jacob deGrom. He's never going to be that age again, but he's still, you can see the command. He was commanding all those pitches that we just described, hitting exactly where he wanted to put them, and he just wasn't getting the calls. So, he'll figure it out and work with all that stuff, and won't get, that type of umpire that often. And like you say, I guess if you do, you have to make some sort of adjustment to it. But then again, you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Right. Yeah, it's it's like this whole series. You just kind of, I'm just sitting here like you could talk bad about everything, and you shouldn't be talking that badly about the pitching, because if your starter's going to allow 3 runs, that's giving you a chance to win.
Yes.
Rocker didn't necessarily do his job, but and if we're nitpicking at Jacob deGrom and Evaldi on what they did, we have such high expectations for them, and then when they don't meet them, it's kind of like, man, what's wrong with these guys? Like I said, Rocker's the concern. Malley was very good the other day. I think Corbin is in line to start.
Yes, it looks
Tuesday.
Like it. Yeah.
So I'm still back to wavering on him. Still, I want to see it again.
Yeah.
In theory, it should be better, but it's like this offense. It's still. It all gets back to that.
It does. I mean, again, last night got away from him when what was the final 9-2 last night. I mean, it got away from him, but the other 2 games, they're right in. They're right in till the end, and they're winnable games. But you have to come through with more offense than what the Rangers have been. They've had on this road trip. They've had the 2 games where they scored 6 runs. One of them was a win, the finale in Chicago. The other was a 10-6 loss, I believe, in Chicago. And again, 6 is like 15 for this club if you can get 6 runs. But they got to score more than 1 or 2 or 3. And if you go backwards in this series, that's what they had. 1 today, 2 yesterday, 3 on Friday. You got to do better than that offensively.
Yeah.
It's right now, I'm sure statistically, it's one of the worst, if not the worst offense numbers-wise in the league.
For sure, it has to be. I haven't checked the numbers after all of today's action. I guess there's still one more game to go, but they aren't going to be at the bottom in everything. They just are.
Yeah,
and it can't subsist. It can't stay this way, and that's what most of the questions are about. Jeremy, who said, we were saying the same things, and you've pointed this out.
Yeah,
about the offense. Oh yeah, it's going to come around, no problem, and it never did.
Yeah,
so. And then to Andres's point, at some point, does the hitting coach is he under fire or on the hot seat or whatever you call it? Possibly, but the Rangers hitting coach is Justin Veely, who basically speaks the same language as Donnie Eckert.
Yeah.
So are you going to make sweeping changes? I'm guessing that Veely got a multi-year deal to leave the Giants.
Right.
I don't know if you're going to eat that contract.
Right.
But, it seems like getting rid of one is you're just replacing him with a guy who has the same thought system,
protege,
the same beliefs. Protege. There you go. So I'm not sure what they would do there, but the hitter has to bring something to the table here. I mean,
they do.
They absolutely have to. They have to be able to make adjustments, and I'm sure it's not for a lack of work. Nobody's ever accused Marcus Semien of not working hard. I don't know about Jock Peterson or Jake Berger, but I can tell by, they don't want to make outs.
No,
but they are, and maybe they're feeling some pressure. Maybe you saw Berger chase a slider way off the plate today. Maybe he's feeling some pressure, but he also had a double. Maybe he's starting to come around. I don't know, but and I wrote about today. This is something that came up in my Twitter mentions, and I didn't answer it because it was basically somebody being snotty and saying, "Well, will the DF media ask Bruce Bochy about the leadoff spot?" And Evan Grant, of course, he's always gets himself out there and answers the questions. And so I wrote a column today, and it's like Marcus Semien probably isn't. He's not a prototypical leadoff hitter.
No,
and he never has been.
Nope.
Right,
and he
now,
hasn't spent a lot of time leading off in his career.
Right now, though, he's the Rangers' best option. And it's not as easy as just saying, Marcus, you're out of there. All right, where are you going to put him? That's the first question. Where are you going to put him? Is he going to suddenly hit 500, hitting fifth?
Yeah.
No. And it's like, who's the better choice? Well, Josh Smith. Okay, he's your best hitter right now.
Yeah.
Do you want him leading off?
Yeah.
And then if you move, there's just a lot of inside baseball things too. If you move Smith to 1, well, you gotta kind of alter up 7, 8, and 9 a little bit too. This lineup is structured in so many different ways and for so many different scenarios that changing one spot is going to mess with a whole bunch of things. And then another thing, how many times a game does the leadoff hitter bat leadoff?
Maybe, for sure once, and maybe never again.
Right. It averages out to 1.88 or 1.85.
Almost 2. Yeah.
So 2 times a game. All right, that's 7 other innings where somebody has to be able to get on base and get something started. Mm-hmm. So, the first batter of the game, I get it. It's old school baseball. Get on, get them over, get them in.
Yep.
But it doesn't work that way anymore. And the Rangers' ideal leadoff hitter is Evan Carter, who's
still not
in
AAA. At AAA.
Well, he got it up to 138 today,
good.
I think. Today.
All right, good.
All right,
but a good day. Good.
He'd been off the previous 2 days. He is walking, but it's just not there yet. So I don't want to say they're stuck with Marcus Semien, but they're kind of stuck with Marcus Semien, and they still believe that this little slump that he's going through is temporary.
Sure.
And they're going to believe in the back of the baseball card and see it turn around, just like they're doing with Peterson and Berger. These guys are going to hit. That's the belief.
Yeah, and you don't make changes like that 15 games in, 16 games in. You don't. You've got to give it a little bit more time than that. What's the magic number? Who knows? That's why those managers and general managers get paid the big bucks to figure out that magic number. More to talk about on this program, though, as we talk a little bit more about the American League. We talk a little bit more about where the Rangers stand, and we hear more from your questions as we talk baseball. Rangers and a 3-1 loss being swept in Seattle. We're back to talk about all that on the DLLS podcast. But first, Jeff, it's
Monarch money.
Yeah.
You talk about all these guys. Jock Peterson's making 17.5, 18 million. Marcus Simeon's making 25. I'm guessing they have some people who take care of the money, but if not, guess what? They need Monarch money. I don't know about you, but I mean, with my wife and the kids, sometimes it's hard to track the money.
Oh my gosh!
And you have all these different things and expenses and all this stuff. Well, Monarch money will help tighten it up for you on just about everything you need. You can start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Maybe you have kids who are about to go to college, like the Wilsons. You got to start saving for that stuff. And without a clear financial picture, your financial dreams can feel out of reach. But Monarch makes managing money simple, even for busy lives. So get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code DLLS at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. That's a hell of a deal.
It is.
That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code DLLS.
Game time! We haven't said it that way in a long time. The lead story on Game Time is the Dodgers-Rangers. You can get a ticket for on Sunday, a week from today, the 20th, Easter Sunday. What a way to spend Easter, watching the Rangers beat the Dodgers and complete a 3-game sweep. More wishful thinking. But anyway, $38. That's a pretty good price to go there. AC/DC tickets, that's tomorrow, by the way. AC/DC, as cheap as $81. So, and again, I'm on my Game Time app, and I'm looking at that same kind of thing, only this is, where are they? At the American Airlines Center. And I've got a whole map of it right here, and I can pick my seats. And, of course, if I want to go down onto the floor, right next to the stage is only $697.
That's it?
$697 to see AC/DC right next to the floor. Game Time's our favorite. $20 off your first purchase if you go to gametime.com and use the code DLLS. So we mentioned the bullpen earlier in the show, but I just really, not only do I love the way everybody has pitched in the bullpen. It's really fun to watch, and we know this. It's been fun for a couple of years now to watch Bruce Bochy massage it and manage it. Obviously, if they have a lead and it's the 7th, 8th, and 9th, I think we do know what to expect. But in games like the 3 here this week, you're not sure what to expect. Who's next? Who's coming? Right?
Yeah. Right. And it's tough. You got to manage the bullpen and losses too.
Yeah.
And and you got to keep in mind, oh man, you know what? Sean Armstrong hasn't pitched in a long time. Well, guess what? Sean Armstrong came in and pitched in basically a meaningless spot, but it had meaning to him, and he pitched well. He needed to get the rust off, and he helped save the bullpen so that today, even with the off day tomorrow, they were able to use some leverage arms there to keep the game close, and maybe the offense would wake up. Didn't happen, but I'm telling you, it is a juggling act, and there's 8 of them down there you got to worry about. And now that guys can come up and come down, be optioned and whatnot, that it's going to add another wrinkle. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Rangers have some moves coming up on Tuesday. Tomorrow's an off day, and anytime you give a front office a chance to sit and think about things, well, a lot of times when you come back to work, things are going to be a little bit different. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but it wouldn't surprise me if something like that did happen. I thought Caleb Bosley pitched well in long relief. He doesn't really deserve to go down. But, when you have the roster move coming up with Jack Leiter, what are you going to do there? Is it going to is a starter going to get pushed to the bullpen? If so, who gets pushed out of the bullpen? Where does he get pushed to? So and then how are you gonna use it? And how are you gonna shuffle these guys up? So, but he is great at it, and Mike Maddox is pretty good at it too.
So where does Rocker's spot in the rotation come up in the game one of the Dodgers? Yeah, game one of the Dodgers series. I think that might be one to watch. I believe. Well, first of all, does Leiter need to go make a rehab start?
Probably. I think he's too young.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he's Nathan Eovaldi.
Right.
Nathan Eovaldi can just come back from a blister and be like, all right, yeah, heck, I'm gonna go and not go down there. You know, there's the belief that you want to use as they say, use his bullets all in the major leagues and not in the minors. I think though it wouldn't harm Jack at all to go to shoot down to Frisco, pitch 3-4 innings, make sure the finger feels good, and then come on back and be ready. So I would expect that to happen. And honestly, it could happen soon.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's getting ready to come off. But
right.
He's got to wait the 15 days and all of that jazz. So when it does happen, you know, he's definitely going to be in the rotation.
Right.
I mean, the way he pitched,
and I right now, and again,
taking him out.
It depends on what we see from Corbin and what we see from Rocker next time through.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, you know, that it's maybe at this point, it's, you know, maybe a Leiter for Rocker. Again, not that Rocker won't be back at some point, but that's the roster decision, and you option Kumar to AAA.
Well, you know, at some point you got to make these, what they say, these tough decisions.
Yeah.
You know, what's best for the team in the long run versus the short term, and it might be that, you know, if let's say Patrick Corbin, you can guarantee that or feel really, really good that he's going to give you 5 or 6 innings and allow 2 to 4 runs and keep you in it. That's not the worst thing in the world. All right. You know, obviously Rocker has the huge upside and all of that, and he could go out there and, you know, toss 5 scoreless like he did against the Rays, but you're not seeing the consistency. And maybe it takes him going down into a pressure-free situation where he can really focus on not so much wins and losses, because he's going to want to win, but, you know, getting things right so that he wins more regularly at the major league level. A possibility for sure. I still think that Corbin's a possibility for the bullpen.
Sure.
You know, when that opportunity presents itself, Jack can be reinstated April 18th, which is Friday.
Which is Rocker's turn. So
yeah, well,
could that happen?
Sure. Or maybe they drop Jack in and give Kumar an extra rest day.
Yes.
You know, I know he's getting the off day tomorrow, but there are just a lot of ways they could go with it. And I'm not completely surprised that they're planning, at least the early indication are planning to stick in rotation and not jumble it up. And maybe Kumar's performance Saturday told the Rangers, yeah, let's make sure he gets the extra day. Let's not skip Corbin and push everybody up. Let's make sure he gets that extra day to work on things, to whatever it is. It just, you know, and everybody gets the rest. That's the other thing. Everybody gets the rest. But the return of Leiter being imminent, maybe you could do something there. But, you know, how many days off do you want to give Nathan Eovaldi? That's the other thing. You know,
yeah.
You just drop Jack in after Kumar. Well, then you're pushing Eovaldi back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't make these.
No.
I don't get paid to make these decisions.
No, big decisions to be made. They'll be made before the end of this week. And truly, when you have too many pitchers, you know, like when you have a pitcher who's pitched like Jack Leiter has so far this year, so you're adding another good pitcher to the rotation, that's a good problem. That's not a bad problem. A bad problem is the offense. We've talked about it a lot. I see the question in there. Is it from Rarities? Yeah. Do you think Skip Schumacher will be asked to do some coaching soon? It's a good question, and you don't want to have too many. You don't want to have too many voices in these guys' heads. But Skip Schumacher, as many of you may have seen, has been added to Mark DeRosa's staff. For Team USA.
And Michael Young.
Yeah, and Michael Young. That's right. And Skip, is the sort of the presumptive favorite, if you will, to replace Bruce Bochy whenever that happens. That's one of the reasons he's in the organization. None of us want that to happen anytime soon. But Boch's contract is up at the end of the year. It's up to him. I mean, Chris Young has said that. It's up to Boch if he wants to keep going. He can keep going as long as he wants to go, basically.
100%. And, Skip is it's pretty interesting. He went from player to assistant to all of a sudden like one of the great young managerial minds. And to be honest, he had one nice year with the Marlins, and then last year was a disaster, and he didn't agree necessarily with management. And I don't blame him because the Marlins are one of the worst run organizations around. But, but he's also kind of feeling things out. Maybe he doesn't want to manage. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to be in the front office. He's still so young in his career. That's the second half of his baseball career, if you will, after playing, that he has options. Interestingly, he has a son who is committed to play baseball at TCU.
Oh, wow.
So maybe that's a hook to at least keep him in the organization. But he's going to have a lot of opportunities here is the thing, and it depends, how much is that, how bad is that itch, and does he want to take over? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, teams that lose managers generally suck.
Right.
Does he want to go to like Will Venable did, does he want to take on that challenge, or does he want to use what leverage he has and write it out and wait for a better job, or does he want to wait until Bruce Bochy said, I've had enough of this crap, I'm going home? So but Skip in the organization, such a nice guy, very positive, great to talk to. Be interesting to see how that works out. But I think plan A, B, C, and D is for Bruce Bochy to be back next year, at least in the Rangers' minds.
That's right, no doubt about it. And and again, like we've said, it's up to Boch at this point, and CY has said that, and it should be. Interestingly, speaking of Will Venable, he had to be just wanting to cry today because the best pitcher that was on his team when he took over as the manager, kind of like they say, stuck it to them today. His team, the Red Sox beat the White Sox 3-1 today, but I think it was into the 8th inning that Garrett Crochet took the no-hitter. It was a no into the 8th. And then,
that's no fun for
gave up one run on one hit.
Kind of salt on the wounds. There's not just one wound. There are a lot of wounds with this White Sox team and organization. But you hope for their sakes that, hey, these guys we got are pretty good.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while till you know that for sure. But yeah, Crochet, what a great arm, obviously. And I'm guessing that he was probably had some mixed emotions about it too.
Of course.
He probably doesn't have any grudge to hold with them. It's not like,
No.
So,
no, they did him a solid by getting him out of there. Are you kidding me? Yeah. No, and but it does remind me, and again, this guy doesn't have any emotions, much less mixed emotions, but Corey Kluber, when he came back and no-hit the Rangers, a year later, a year and a half?
A year later.
Yeah. Unbelievable. But he, like I say, he's the Klubot. He's a robot for a reason. I do not have emotions. I just pitch.
Yeah, and that was, obviously now the Rangers now know what they gave up.
Yeah.
They knew Clase was going to be good, but they weren't sure he was going to be the best closer in the game.
Right.
And then Kluber pitched 1 inning. That was a screwed up year, obviously. The whole season was screwy with COVID and everything. And maybe him having to ramp up twice at kind of an advanced age, I guess, was too much for him. But God dang it, 1 inning, and then you go out and the next time you pitch, you hit the team that really wanted you and all that stuff,
and traded this great prospect. Although again, at that point, nobody knew just how great Emmanuel Clase was. Although I guess maybe somebody in the Cleveland organization did. Anyway, interesting day in baseball today. The Dodgers, as Jeff mentioned, lost a series to the Nationals, and the Angels lost their first series of the season this weekend. They've won every other one. The Rangers now are 3-2 in series, but the Angels lost their first one this weekend. We talk about both LA teams and this week ahead, a homestand where it's all LA all the time. That is coming next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But I did, I
got your new shirts.
Led with it. Yeah, I got my new shirts, and I I really do like this one. They're all so comfy. And we were giving them away over at when we were over at Happiest Hour the other night for the Final Four. I guess it's almost been a week now, and everybody who grabbed one was like, "Oh wow, these really are soft. Trust us. They're great shirts. They're easy. They're fun. They get people's attention." And we encourage you to get you some of this merchandise. Store.allcitynetwork.com. More stuff is on the way, and there's a ton of stuff there right now, and it's not just shirts. Hoodies and stuff. I imagine some of the winter stuff will be going on sale. I don't know. And they've got, shot glasses and coffee mugs and beer steins and things like that, too. So avail yourself to any of this merchandise. Let everybody out there know that you're with us. You're with DLLS, and we're catching on. People are coming up to me all the time saying, "Hey, I see you on the podcast. Hey, love the podcast." So keep it coming. We love doing it, and we'd love you to let everybody know that you like it too.
Yeah, and you get one of these shirts for free when you become a DLLS diehard, and you get 20% off our events. And we have a big one coming up.
We do.
The Lone Star Open Golf Tournament, April 25th at Stevens Park from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You could play with John. You could play with me. It's going to be a good time either way. And, you're not going to find a better deal around in like sports content for $79.99 a month. That's $6 a month, maybe $7, $6.50. That's what we worked it out.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. Plus 20%, plus the free shirt, and just knowing that you're going to get great Rangers coverage from John and me, and then Cowboys, Stars, Mavs, and we have so many more coming. So hop on right now, join up, become a DLS diehard.
Yeah, it's a great plan. It's a great idea. We'd appreciate it if you do it. The Los Angeles Angels, they of Anaheim, are first place in the American League West. Ron Washington told us in December that he was going to have this team playing, and he basically, I think, told us that they were going to win the division, and that's Wash. That's how that's how Wash go. However, here they are in first place. He's got them believing. He's got them playing well. They've got Mike Trout back. They were in Houston this weekend, and they did lose the series to the Astros. And Mike Trout was at the center of controversy. Did you see this stuff, Jeff?
I did see that.
Yeah. There was a fan that basically took a ball from Mike Trout, and I don't blame Trout for being pissed. But then, because he's such a good guy, he met with the fan and the kid. I guess the dad was alleging or saying he was trying to protect his kid, and that's why I know. I don't know. But anyway, Wash has them playing well. They're a half game ahead of the Rangers right now. The Angels are 9-6. The Rangers, of course, are 9-7. And who knows? Where will the Angels finish? I don't think it'll be first. I don't think it'll be in the top 3 in the division. But hey, you got the top 2 teams in the division playing Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday out there at Globe Life Field.
Yeah, and division games matter, and there aren't as many of them anymore. That's probably why there's a little more emphasis on them. But down there in Houston, the Angels have get the short trip, get a little. I think they get the day off tomorrow too.
I don't think there's a Monday hangover.
I think they got to they should bus, honestly, get to see a beautiful part of the great state of Texas.
Yeah, Astros play the Cardinals tomorrow.
Well, there you go. The Astros don't get an off day. Tough luck there. But so the Angels will come in rested. They had Ben Joyce, the guy that throws 105. He had to go on the injured list here. But Trout has 6 home runs, is looking pretty good. The Kyron Paris kid, Kyron like iron. They're getting contributions from a lot of guys, and it's good to see. And Zach Neto should be back soon, the shortstop. I don't know if it'll be this series or not, but he's nearing the end of his rehab assignment after basically missing all of spring training. So the Rangers might have their hands full here, and
they get Kikuchi tomorrow.
Kikuchi
or Tuesday. They get Kikuchi Tuesday in Game 1.
Yeah, so Peterson will be out of the lineup.
Yep.
You'd suspect that Leody Taveras will be as well, and Kevin Pillar will be in there at the top of the lineup, and Wyatt Langford. He's going to be coming back here. If he doesn't make it back this homestand, he's going to make it back in that first series of the next road trip So there's reasons for optimism here. But if the Rangers want to have a successful road trip, they need to make some hay against the Angels because the team that's coming in after them,
they're tough.
They're on paper they're pretty tough.
They're pretty good on paper, and really we're talking about how all of a sudden they've struggled and they're they've fallen all the way to 11-5. But they are third place in their division because the flippin' Padres are 13-3 at the top right now, and the Giants are still surprising people, I think.
Yeah, the Giants had a good series at Yankee Stadium this weekend, and the Korean import they brought in last year, who immediately got hurt, is playing really, really well for them, and is the player they thought they were getting. So, the Dodgers just gave up 15 or 16 runs to the Cubs.
Yeah,
in one game.
Yeah,
and so it'll be interesting to see. They are 4-4 on the road. They had a couple tough series with the Phillies and the Nationals. So they're back home, but now they're going to be back on the road. And I really think the West Coast team's struggling going east. They only have to go 2 time zones this time, but nevertheless, opportunity. Going to be great crowds. There are Dodgers fans all over this area. I remember when the 2020 World Series was here.
Yeah.
And the ballpark opened to limited seating. I think it was, if there were 14,000 fans in the stadium, 13,990 of them were Dodgers
I was going to say, I found the one Tampa fan there. Yeah, I mean, it was like there weren't many, but there were a few. But the Dodgers travel very well. There's a lot of, Jeff was saying there's a lot of Dodger fans here. There's a lot of Dodgers fans everywhere. And this is no exception. So, yeah, you should get out there, get some tickets. We told you Game Time has them for the Sunday game. I'm sure there's some available for Friday and Saturday as well. And get on out there and see if we can quiet those Dodgers fans down. And again, this weekend, the Nationals proved like you don't have to just roll over against the Dodgers. You can go ahead and win a series against them, especially at home.
Yeah, and the Cubs are kind of making it life hard on them in L.A. So I don't know. I still want to see them though. Just the super team. They got Freddie Freeman back off the injured list, and Mookie Betts appears to have recovered from the illness, and of course they have Ohtani. That's always fun to see, and maybe you get to see Roki Sasaki. I haven't looked at how their rotation's going to line up, but there's a chance to see a lot of guys. Probably have to try to go talk to Kirby Yates and see what happened there. Kirby.
Yeah. What up, dude?
Why weren't you back in the other clubhouse?
Yeah.
So there's some storylines coming in there, but the main one, gonna go back to it, is the offense has to get going for the Rangers, and the Dodgers maybe aren't the team that you'd expect that to happen, but something's got to start clicking pretty quick.
Yeah, there's just no doubt. Andres had pointed out earlier in the chat that the Rangers are the only team not to have scored 7+ runs in a game. That's absolutely, something that they need to be doing really on a regular basis. I mean, this is an offense that's built for that. It's an offense that ultimately will produce like that. At least we believe it will, and hopefully it will consistently. That's how it was built. That's why the Jake Bergers and the Jock Petersons of the world, and even Kyle Higashioka, that's why they're here. They're guys who hit fastballs with regularity and well throughout their career. So they'll just keep grinding. They'll keep working. They'll keep trying to figure it out. And it's often such a small thing. It might not even be a physical thing, Jeff. It's mental, right? It's just a mental block, a hurdle to get over.
Yeah, and probably Seattle wasn't the place to do it because there's a mental hurdle there.
Yeah, we don't hit well there.
And against Logan Gilbert today, who's really kind of shoved it up their butts the last couple years, but Wu had struggled against the Rangers.
Yeah.
And they missed the chance to get him early, and then he settled in. So maybe there's a mental block there too. But it's just one hit could do Jock Peterson a world of good. Of course, my old Ian Desmond example, he broke out of his slump with like a ball that didn't even make it to the pitcher's mound.
Yeah,
that's what started it, and maybe it takes something like that for Jock and Marcus. And yeah, these guys do put pressure on themselves. They want to be great. Jock, in the first year of a pretty big contract, for a guy who's a one-trick pony, it's a pretty big contract. And Berger, new team, and wants to do good with his platform for his family and the foundation and everything. Maybe he's feeling a little pressure. New position, I don't know, but it needs to pick up. It's time for these guys to find their rhythm, and maybe being at home helps. Maybe being at home, where they did win 3 games the last time they were here. They scored 5 and 6 runs in 2 of the 3 wins. Yeah. So maybe something's there, but it feels like I'm grasping for straws here too. At the same time,
it does, and they are too, right? I mean, they're absolutely grasping for straws, and you hope that they figure out how to unlock the magic that's there and that's hidden, and I think they will. It's going to be really fun to watch this when it does develop, and it's just one of those things. It's all of a sudden it's just going to be there. The offense, I mean. Yeah. It's just going to be there.
And Kelly, man, he brings up a point here. He hates seeing Adolis hit all the time. Yeah. Maybe is there anybody in the clubhouse that would, get a little payback? Hey, maybe that gets the Rangers going. Maybe that gets the Rangers fired up.
And all you have to do is think back to the Astros series, the ALCS, to know that, payback's possible with this group. They're not scared to pay back. And so I'd be, and I agree. That's part of the game, right? That's part of the game is that type of thing. So it does suck to see Adolis getting hit and diving around, having to dive out of the way. Even when he didn't get hit, they're up up here. I mean, those are not comfortable. And you hate to see it.
And if you're going to pitch inside, you got to be able to command it. And I know he's got a lot of armor on, but the ball always seems to miss his padding. I think the one the other night might have caught some of it, but hands break a lot, arms break a lot in this game. You can ask Corey Seager, you can ask Josh Young. It's happened to both of them in their careers, and you don't want to see the best guys injured. But I think that's how they teams set up Adolis. They try to pound him in and then get him to chase the slider. Munoz kind of did that in the 9th inning today, but without the pine tar and the ability to add a little grip to the ball, you just can't command pitches like you used to, and it seems like more guys are getting hit because of it.
I am excited to see Tyler Mahle. I've thought that it looked like he was going to be Tyler Mahle rhymes with rally.
Oh, come on,
yeah. Tyler Mahle. I'm excited to see him. I think he had obviously the one bad start, but the next 2 have been pretty good.
Oh yeah, the one Wednesday against the Cubs was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so other than Evaldi's complete game, that's probably the best start from a Rangers starter. You could maybe say lighter on that Wednesday. When the blister took him out, but to go 7 and quiet down a really good Cubs offense.
Yeah.
not like a bunch of superstars, just some pesky guys.
Yep.
And that's, the Angels have a superstar, Mike Trout, working his way back, but the rest of the lineup is just kind of some pesky guys. You have Soler, who can run into one, Sean O'Well, the first baseman. There are Hoppy, the catcher. So anyway, maybe the Rangers, though, can, again, settle down here at home, find their footing, and get going, because you got to go back on the road at some point.
Yep. So we've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games, all-night games at Globe Life Field as the Angels come calling. We're here Monday through Thursday, and we're here at 1 o'clock every day except Thursday, right? Thursday will be a post-game show.
Stay up late with us.
Yeah, stay up late on Thursday, and we'll do post-game after this Angels series. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, we'll be in here at 1 o'clock getting you ready for the Rangers against the Angels, another divisional foe. It's generally fun, spirited, and enjoyable, and we're going to have lots to talk about. We got 20 more seconds to talk. 40 more, Prophet? Okay.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Ron Washington.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Always look forward to Wash.
Always great to see Wash.
If you missed our winter winter meetings interview with him. It's on our YouTube page, which you probably have subscribed to. And if you haven't, like Alex, who just popped in, first time I remember seeing you, Alex. Welcome for coming in. He's staying positive. It looks bad now, but the offense will definitely click and be really good pretty soon. That's a Ron Washington attitude.
Yeah.
And Bruce Bochy too. Bruce Bochy believes in these guys, believes in what they do, and thinks that they'll be back. But Ron Washington's going to try like hell to make sure that it doesn't happen against the Angels.
Yeah, he's good that way, and we'll see what happens. It's always fun to see Wash. I think it's a couple of old school managers who will bring an old school approach to this thing. So you know what that means? It's going to be old school fun baseball. So we'll be talking all about it. We get set for it tomorrow and Tuesday. We start talking about this series then on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.